Hi, hello my dear students. Welcome to our channel Rajesh Biology and I am Rajesh MSc Zoology. Today our topic is the Cori cycle. To contract the muscle requires energy. That energy is we can get from the glucose molecules. Generally, when there is abundant amount of oxygen, the glucose is completely oxidized. Oxidation means what? Oxidation means burning. Oxidation, it is a reaction by using the oxygen. Glucose is converted into carbon dioxide, metabolic water and 36 molecules of ATP. It is aerobic respiration. In this process there is so many steps are there, like glycolysis. Glucose is divided into small molecules like pyruvate, like that, and later glycolysis and Krebs cycle, later electronic transport. This type of chemical reactions are there, biochemical reactions are occur in every part of the body when there is a ATP is produced. That is aerobic respiration. But in some conditions our muscles show anaerobic respiration also. Anaerobic respiration means when there is no oxygen. In such conditions also, when we want to contract our muscles, at that time without oxygen glucose is oxidized. That oxidation process is not complete due to the lack of oxygen and it is partially oxidized. Due to the partial oxidation of the glucose, lactic acid is formed. For example, it is the muscle. Glucose is reached the muscle. It is a muscle fiber. In this muscle fiber, glucose is reached. In this condition, oxygen is not there. But still, nervous system sends some signals to contract. So, in the absence of oxygen, this glucose is partially oxidized, not fully, partially oxidized. Due to the partial oxidation of glucose, lactic acid is formed. It is called anaerobic respiration. In this anaerobic respiration, ATP molecules are very less. Only 2 ATP molecules are produced and lactic acid is formed. Because of this lactic acid only, we get muscle fatigue. We feel pain, right, when we walk for several kilometers after reaching the goal, or after 4 kilometers walking, we get muscle pain. That pain is because of the lactic acid. That means the muscle undergo contractions in the absence of the oxygen and the glucose is partially oxidized, lactic acid is formed. This lactic acid should not be present in that muscle for more time. So this lactic acid is released into the blood. This is the blood. Through the blood circulation, the lactic acid reaches the liver, where the lactic acid is converted into glucose by the process of gluconeogenesis. What is this process known as? Gluconeogenesis. It is glycolysis. Here it is glycolysis. Here glucose is lysis. Lysis means cut down, break down. So glucose is break down here. That's why it is called glycolysis. Here glucose is formed. So it is called glucogenesis. What is meant by neo? Neo means new. Formation of glucose other than the fat, from other than the glycogen, is known as gluconeogenesis. You may know that glucose is formed from the this carbohydrate related starch, or from the fat, or from that lipids. Glucose is formed. That is called glucogenesis or glycogenesis. But glycogen or glucose is formed other than the fat also. That means from proteins also glucose is formed. From the lactic acid also glucose is formed. So this type of other than the fat, if glucose is formed, that is called neogenesis. Neo means new. Neo-Lamarckism, Neo-Darwinism. Neo means new. Gluconeogenesis means glucose is formed from the other than fat, that is lactic acid. It is generally happen in the liver. So this lactic acid is lactate. 2 lactate molecules reaches the liver. From 2 lactate molecules, 2 pyruvate molecules are formed. From this pyruvate, by using the 6 ATP molecules, 6 is actually it is like a theoretically we are saying that it is a 6 ATP molecules, but it is different from tissue to tissue, situation to situation. It is going to change. So in general 6 ATP molecules are utilized to produce the one glucose molecule. This glucose is again enter into the blood circulation and that reaches the muscle. This type of cycle is called Cori cycle. This cycle is called what? Cori cycle. Based on the scientist name, it is known as Cori cycle. Is this clear? So first, once we will revise what happened. Muscle undergo contractions in the absence of oxygen. That is called anaerobic respiration. During anaerobic respiration, glucose is converted into lactic acid by producing 2 ATP molecules. This lactic acid result in a muscle fatigue, muscle pain, and that lactate is released into the blood that is carried towards the liver. Within the liver, the lactate is converted into glucose by the process called gluconeogenesis. This glucose is entered into the blood circulation that reaches the muscle again, and this is the one-way cycle. And if the muscle is not required any glucose molecule, it will be stored in the form of glycogen for the further requirements. Okay, so this is about the Cori cycle, and in next video we will discuss about the red muscle fibers and white muscle fibers. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.